Testing, 1, 2. Hope this works. All right, everybody. Let's do a clap for audio sync. So I'm actually using the motor on this Bafang that was on the bike that went on fire. It's seen better days, so I'm not going to be going as fast as I do in some other videos, because if I do, I'll get a motor stall. So I'm going to be very conservative in my riding here. I might actually ride at the speed of a legal e-bike. Sad thing is I'll still get home faster than I would in a car with traffic and all that shit. One of the people didn't believe me when I said it actually makes more sense to have an electric bike anywhere in New York City. It really does. Anywhere in a 20-mile radius of my store or my house, I will get there faster on this when it works than you will in a car. Because I can go around stuff, I can go in between stuff. If there's traffic, I can go on the side of the road. And when this works, it's pretty much as fast as a car for most reasonable means. Again, like the 0 to 60 time is not the same as a car, but you don't get to go 60 miles an hour ever in this city anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Oh no. I went full New York and went through a light. Like everybody else. Like everybody else. Can't do that in my car, but I did it on my bicycle. So, today I wanted to discuss a topic I discussed in some older videos, which is not accepting the premise of assholes and how this relates to right to repair in some way. I was speaking with a student today who wanted to do an interview, and I apologize, by the way, if you're one of the students that emailed and I haven't gotten back to you for one of like a school project or something. I try to speak to as many as humanly possible. I'm up to like 4,900 unread emails though. Email me again if you're one of them, and I promise I'll get back to you when I can. Lewis@rossmangroup.com, 2 S's, 2 N's. So, one of the questions was regarding safety. This is a point that lobbyists will commonly bring up when it comes to right to repair. And what I used to do, and what I think was the wrong thing, was I would actually respond to the premise, which is, if you have right to repair, then people may do unsafe repairs. What if people hurt themselves? Blah, blah, blah. And I used to do this, and this was disobeying one of my own rules, which is, responding to the premise of an asshole. And you never respond to the premise of an asshole. You never do. You never accept the premise to begin with, because by arguing, what you're doing is you're accepting the premise. And I'm not saying that you don't argue. I'm just saying that you reject the premise before you even begin the argument. So what I mean by this. So let's take safety, for instance. So what I used to do is I would go over how this is ridiculous. This is over $4 billion industry in the United States. In this over $4 billion industry, you have... In this $4 billion industry, you have got how many news articles going over devices exploding or melting or setting buildings on fire? Like, how many news articles do you have? Because we have a very clickbait media nowadays, and they'll eat up just about anything, especially when it comes to technology and devices and all that and stuff that screws up. How many? Over the past 13 to 14 years, since batteries started getting glued in and portable device repair became a booming industry. This is a nice building. This is a really nice building lobby. It's one of those buildings you live in if you bought GameStop at $4. But how many cases do you have? I could go over it. I remember I did a video, and this is one of the many things, many things, that if I do a direct ballot initiative, is going to start showing up on commercials. You know what I thought would be really fun is actually having a commercial contest with my audience. Go through all of my content and make the best anti-Louis Rossmann, anti-right to repair commercial you can. Yeah, I'll give you a hint. A battery video of how to replace an A1502 battery that I did in 2015, where the battery goes on fire on the table. That's a great one. A bike going on fire. Or me doing a board repair where the actual board goes on fire. I have one of those where the board, it starts smoking and there's a puff of smoke and almost burns my nose when I'm trying to dig a short circuit out while I'm putting voltage through what the short was. I'm trying to dig it out of the board. But anyway, that's going to be fun. I think it would be fun to do that and actually get in front of it before corporations start doing stuff like that if I run a successful initiative. But one of the things is I used to go over this and how ridiculous it is. I would showcase, here's how you change a charge port in a phone. Here's Jess's kids, who are literally toddlers, changing a charge port in a phone. This is something that the manufacturer for many smartphones won't do, yet these toddlers can. Have they poked their eyes out? No, because the idea that this is something that's too dangerous for anybody to do is fucking dumb. We used to go to legislatures, and I remember Jessa opening a phone in front of one in Nashville, Tennessee in 2017. It's something I've done on occasion every now and then as well. And the thing is, that's the important thing here is what I did in that moment was wrong. What I did was I accepted the premise of an asshole, because the premise is that it is my responsibility to prove that in order to have freedom, that it is the burden of proof is on me to showcase that it is 100% safe. And we have never operated on that standard in the United States of America, to my understanding, where in order for you to have a basic freedom, I need to prove 100% safety. And if I cannot do that, no freedom for you, no personal property rights for you. That's not the way this works. So when we talk about car repair, automotive repair, on virtually any car in the United States, even a fucking Tesla, you can replace the brake pads. On any car, even the biggest meme car you can think of, you can replace brake pads yourself. You can do this basic job. Now, if you fuck up in doing this, if you screw up, you have a 4,200 pound thing that can do 0 to 60 in 4 to 12 seconds, depending on what kind of car you have, approximately. I don't know what the exact range is of that. I'm not really a car person. Like 4 to 12 seconds for 0 to 60. You get the idea. You have a giant hunk of metal that could be going 60 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour in seconds that is not able to stop. And nobody cares. Nobody cares because you're allowed to work on your own stuff. The idea that the manufacturer would do something to keep you from being able to buy the brake pads that fit in your vehicle so that you cannot fix your vehicle in your garage is insanity. And many people die every year in car crashes. It's like, I don't know what the exact statistic is. I don't know if it's 16,000 or 32,000. I don't know what the exact number is. I don't remember. I haven't read it in a while, but it's something, it's pretty high. It's one of those numbers that when technology evolves and when self-driving cars are not memes, we're going to look back on that shit, 500 years from now, we're going to look back on this like those savages allowed all those people to die every year just so that they could move from one place to another. What? But we've accepted that as a society. And I think the reason we accepted it is because 100 years ago or 50 years ago or 70 years ago, the balance of risk of harm versus freedom was tilted a little bit more towards freedom than it is right now in general. We make fun of this idea, but it's one of those things that I think has permeated many aspects of society. Whether it is like that article that I read the other day, where in Rhode Island there was a woman that was on a fucking jog, wearing a mask, on a jog, by herself, by no one else, and a police officer has his siren going off because you can't do that because of COVID. Because you may give one of the wasps around you, or one of the bees, one of the raccoons or cats COVID. Or when it comes to how the modern day meme of like helicopter parents, like I remember when my dad talking about when he was a kid, his parents allowing him to just kind of go outside after school, and he would come back at the end of the day, and they would just go around the neighborhood, play stickball, box on the on the top of the roof of the building and shit like that. And now you have this concept of the helicopter parent who calls all the time, where are you? What are you doing? I want to see it, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of and I think that cultural shift has kind of started to manifest itself in the repairability of modern devices, where we're even asking ourselves, should you be allowed to do this? Should you have the access to anything you need to do this? Because it may not be perfectly 100% safe. But that shift, where you need to prove that something is 100% safe, the burden of proof is on you to prove that it's 100% safe, not 80, not 90, 100% safe before you can have freedom. That's bullshit. It's garbage. It's a garbage premise. It's a garbage premise, and I don't accept it. We don't accept this in any other area of our lives. If it's car repair, don't accept it. It's cooking. Maybe you poison yourself. Should you be allowed to make your own meal? Buy prepackaged meal. No, we don't. If you don't cook your chicken right, you may get a disease and you die. You could buy something from the store, eat it raw, get horribly ill, make your children sick, yourself sick, your family sick. We wouldn't take away. There are so many of these basic freedoms, and you may be laughing at the idea of this. Well, you can't compare this to that. Why? Yes, I can, because it's the same general principle. You can't change the brake pads in your car. You can't cook your own food. You can't change a charging chip on your device. When we live in a world where everything charges, we don't live in a world anymore where you go to the store and you buy, Rayovac AA's when you get a new device. Everything is chargeable. You can't do that. You can't have access to that chip. If you have access to that chip, bad things will happen. It's ridiculous. It's an asinine premise. And one of the things that I did that was wrong and that I would like to correct going forward is even addressing that without addressing the ridiculous nature of the premise that in order to have freedom, in order to have property rights, in order to be able to maintain something that you paid 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 figures for, you need to prove that in no way, shape, or form could anybody ever get hurt. The burden of proof is on you. Because I could prove that this is safe, but at the end of the day, why is it my job to do that? Like, why am I even responding to this shit? This is ridiculous. And then another one was security. You always hear that, security, security, security. And one of the things that I've brought up, and Paul at Secure Repairs has brought up in the past, is show me an example. Show me. So when it comes to, let's say, a schematic or a board view, right? That's one of the things that we ask for in the bill. For many devices, these get leaked. Now, some devices they don't, some they do, some they get leaked, but after a really long period of time, which screws over my customers because they don't want to wait 2 years for an effing repair. But there's a lot of schematics out there. You can find a schematic in a board view for an iPhone 7. Has anybody cracked the home button fingerprint sensor to be able to put a knockoff in there so that they can hack into your phone because of the schematic? Has anybody cracked it? Has anybody figured out how to read your text messages when they don't have your phone in front of you with the passcode because of that schematic? Show me the vector. Show me how it's been done. Give me a single example. Give me a single example of that being something that was a problem. Show it to me. Now, they never can. They never give an example. They will say privacy, security, and safety concerns. You will hear every lobbyist say this, but they will never, ever, ever give you an instance of it actually happening because they have none. Now, I could make that case very easily. And I could say, I would love to hear your examples so that we can adjust the bill so that these real-life examples of security flaws are omitted. So please give them to me. Oh, you don't have any. Okay, go away. Yeah, but the nice version of that, the non-asshole version of that. It's hard for me to not be an asshole. It's something I'm going to have to try and learn how to do. Whoa, that is one fucked up bike. Worse than mine. The right answer to that is, why do I have to prove to you that why does your system have to be perfectly secure in order for me to be able to fix my own device? Why is it that because your system is so insecure that access to a charging chip may affect security that I can't replace a charging chip? Since when has this been a part of the scenario at all? A new one is, and I really want to get a citation for this, someone was actually talking about the environmental cost of right to repair in a negative way. And I'm going to email him. There was a student that I spoke to today who was talking about this. You want to... Not happening, man. But what... Even with one of my motor phases semi-busted, I will still smack an arrow. Always will smack the Arrow 7. I don't even need more than 2 out of 3 of the phases of this motor to smack an Arrow 7. Anyway. But I have to be careful. I'm trying not to put more than 11 amps into the motor right now because this motor has seen much better days. I'm sure I'm going to take this out and the coil windings are all going to be brown and black and destroyed. I was really surprised when this thing survived the Yuba fire. And it survived it and was able to go fast and do all sorts of shit for a long period of time. But it is finally time to put this motor to rest. Time to put it in the BBSHD graveyard. I have killed so many BBSHDs, it's not even funny. One thing I've noticed is on a bike, I ride much more aggressive than in a car. Like in a car, I drive like a fucking grandma. I don't pass people. If there's something that stopped ahead of me, I don't start inching out to my left to go around it, I just wait. I don't try to pass and see, can I fit in between that person if I speed up or anything. I will do that on a bike, even when the motor has 2 out of 3 phases operational. And also on a bicycle, I am considerably, it seems like I would be considerably more vulnerable to death because you would hit me directly. But for some reason, I don't feel that way. I actually feel far more vulnerable to death in a car because on the bike, even though if I get hit, it is more likely that I die because I lack armor, it is more likely that I get hit. So it's kind of like the fight between Sir Varys, what was the guy's name? I forget. First season of Game of Thrones, there was that guy that was getting paid to protect... Fuck, I forget his name. Sir Vargas of the Vale and Bronn. And, you know, Sir Vargas had all that armor on him. And for all the armor he had, it didn't do him shit because he was slow. And he wound up getting tossed out the Vale after, you know, getting slit up all over the place and bleeding out as he fell infinitely to his death. And I feel the same way about the car versus the bike. It's weird, but I feel safer on the bike because I can go around shit and, you know, it's going to be really difficult to hit me on this because I'm agile with it and I can avoid shit. And I have, you know, lots of experience riding this in the daredevilish manner that I have since I was a kid. I remember one time my dad saw me riding my bike. This is prior to me having a motor. We used to like riding our bikes around the neighborhood, and he was walking to the store or something and he saw me, which was I was hoping that he wouldn't. And he remember commenting later, he's like, you know, I would have had more than one kid if I knew you were gonna ride around like that. He still wasn't a helicopter parent though, which I appreciate. But like the car has armor, but where do you go? Like, look, this street is wide enough for like 5 or 8 of this bike, but it's wide enough for 1.5 of those cars when you have cars that are parked on the left and the right side of the road. So I really value the ability to be agile and get in between stuff. But yeah, I'm learning that accepting the premise of assholes means you're never going to get anywhere. And that's one of the things one of the donors had told me to the C3, not the C4, that when they say, you know, you need to prove that you're qualified, and you, like, let's say that we go across, we put a lot of effort in to showcase that independent repair people are qualified, or we make a certification and all this other stuff. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, making a list of standards is something that actually helps people run better repair shops and, you know, helps customers by the fact that they'll be going to better repair shops. Sure, that's something to do. But if it's something that we should be doing so that we can prove that we are worthy of fixing our own stuff, like, screw that. No, screw that. Like, why play that? Why play a game that someone else has set up? Why play a game that someone else has set up? And it's a horrible game, too. Because as I've proven on this channel, time and time again, the manufacturer often has no idea how to fix their own stuff. None. None. And sometimes the design flaws last for years and years. But like, I'm not going to do that tit-for-tat shit where it's like, you should have to prove that you can fix your own stuff. What do you mean we have to prove we can fix it? You can't even design something that works properly in the first place. With $200 billion in the bank. Like, it's stupid. It's stupid. Anyway, we got a lot of signatures on that FTC petition. I'm really excited. I know people are very, very skeptical when it comes to anything with government, and I assure you, I hear you, I understand that. The last thing I ever expect my government to do is help me. But I'm a little bit excited that Lena Khan coming to the FTC. She seems like someone that actually supports right to repair. She seems like someone that understands right to repair down very, very, like, understands it, but is kind of excited to have a position at the FTC because now she'll finally get to be able to do something about all this shit. And this is one of the things, you can read some of her papers. She's got a lot of, why are people yelling? This neighborhood is weird because the way the buildings are situated, the echo is in a way where I can't tell where the person who's yelling is coming from, which makes me uncomfortable because this neighborhood is peak run, suicide by car or motorcycle into red lights. So I really need to be able to locate people via echolocation. Someone commented in a previous video, perhaps the reason they don't listen to the red and the green lights is because the Amish don't have technology, so they don't know what the red and the green lights are. These are not Amish. This is a Hasidic Jewish neighborhood. This is not an Amish neighborhood. Amish is Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That is 300 miles southwest from here. But, close but no cigar. Still the northeastern territory of the U.S., but not even close with regards to that. But I do understand the misconception because there is a lot of similarity in the appearance, at least it seems, for those who are not aware of the different cultures. Yeah, so someone offered to have me at a farm in Montana. I'm kind of thinking about, I've been talking about getting a car, and I've been talking about taking a road trip, and taking a very, very much after this last several years well-needed vacation. And I'm kind of thinking about doing it. But I'm kind of curious how to cover this from a right to repair angle, because I'm not really a videographer. Like, they already did that at Vice. Vice did that, but it was very, very produced. None of my stuff is necessarily produced. I mean, I guess, I produce it the same way that, nice. See what I mean about the echolocation? But like that kid runs faster than I do. I don't want to hit the kid. He has a long life to live. But my content is produced in the same way that Oreo, he produces poop in the morning, so he's a producer. But I really miss being able to have all three phases of this motor. I don't feel confident in being able to keep up with cars on this. And now I'm getting, oh my God, a kitty! I almost ran over a kitty. Kitty! I'm even getting passed by one of those shitty Rebel scooters over there. That's embarrassing. Oh, that's embarrassing. New York City roads are right here. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it would be nice to have a trip to Montana. There's the last 3.5 years have just been kind of this nonstop go, 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 go. And there's very much so a needed break the fuck out of this city. Like just me, the open road, traveling, staying at some of the shit motels on the way there to see what, just kind of experiencing different people, different culture, different stuff. Like 2018, that CBC News piece came out. Then business went up. There was you could see me live streaming on the live channel, fixing boards until like 2 in the morning every single day until I got sick. 2019, doing increased business at a shit store, finding new space, getting Eugened, moving, finishing moving, traveling to do right to repair stuff while managing the moving and the construction, catching up on all the repairs that got missed out on while we were moving. Then COVID happens, and doing several people's work after COVID happened. Then realizing that the business as it was set up was, there were a few issues that were keeping it from actually being profitable. Then fixing everything so it's actually profitable. Then deciding to take a vacation. Then literally the day before I get my third battery for my bike that I was going to use to travel to Cape May, take a nice little vacation, fucking thing blows up. And I haven't really taken a breather to just leave. Get my head out of this New York state of mind. kind of happy to get out of a New York state of mind, honestly. I think it would do me well. I noticed it in Erica. To be clear, I like Erica. Erica's a nice girl. Erica's a great woman, caring woman. But you could tell the difference in Erica from when she was in Hawaii to when she came here. Whether it's getting pelted by tomatoes, whether it's people walking up to her on the street and saying, "Get out of here, you Asian," or whether it's people like walking up to her and then saying like, "Why, you walk in front of me. No, you're not going to walk around me. You're going to walk in front of me." Or people saying, "Get out of my neighborhood," or throwing shit at her while she's volunteering, or like just being an asshole to her while she's volunteering and taking her free fucking time out of her day to help other people, to donate food and carry it and all this shit. Like, you see, eventually, she's still the nice same woman. She's the same caring, kind, nice person who's happy. But some of that little just kind of went away. And I understand why it went away, because you can't really have that when you're surrounded by people that are aggravated all the time and on edge all the time and angry and irritated and stressed and blah. Now, granted, Hawaii is kind of a meme in that it's literally the opposite of that. Everybody's like, "Aloha, oh, nice to meet you, how are you, hey, how's it going?" Like, I don't expect that somewhere else. But man, it would be nice to not be surrounded by people who are just absolutely fucking miserable all the time. You could, and the thing is, I see what it did with her after a year and a half. Like, all it took was like a year and a half to like scrape the Hawaii away and replace it with New York. And I kind of wonder, it's like, man, I've been here 32 fucking years. What did it do to me? If that's what it did to her, and after a year and a half, then what the hell is it doing to me? My soul's probably been like eaten out alive by now. I'll give this to you. New York, the thing I love about New York, that I'm probably not going to find anyplace else. If you have a good idea, if you have an amazing idea, this is the place to try and implement it and make it work. If you have some, if you only have like $50 in your pocket and you want to try to find opportunity, there's opportunity here. There's a lot of opportunity because you got 8 million people in a space that's smaller than Knoxville, Tennessee. Lots of them are high wealth individuals, also all sorts of businesses, financial institutions, tech companies, high paid people that need whatever service or product you're offering. There's a lot of ideas here. There's people coming in from all over the world. If you have an idea and you're willing to hustle and work your ass off and make money, there's opportunity here that may not be sitting there in, Jacksonville, Florida, or Custer, South Dakota. But once you found that opportunity and once you did the grind and the work and all that shit, kind of be nice to go someplace where people don't, stare you down in the grocery store if you accidentally make eye contact with them, One of those things that would be nice. Like, I think I did that in a recent video. This kid was looking at me while I was doing my video, so I stared at him. And this was on camera. So I stared him down. And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to stare you down. Make sure you stop staring at me." I was like, what the fuck is that? People don't do that in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I went to visit a friend in Allentown, Pennsylvania, a few years ago. And I was in a grocery store just to pick up a bottle of water because I thought I had a bottle of water with me in the car and I didn't. And someone just looked at me and smiled and said, "Hi, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing well. How about yourself?" And she says, "Oh, which flavor do you think I should get?" And I said, "Oh, this one. It's by far the best." And she goes, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you should trust me. I'm a stranger." We had this nice little back and forth conversation, and she laughed and smiled, and I went on my merry way. But like, that doesn't happen in New York City. Like a stranger meeting in a fucking grocery store and having a happy conversation, asking how you're doing. When that happens, it's like you're checking for your wallet to make sure that, her boyfriend is not stealing it from your pocket or something. Like, what the... Just a different world. It's a different world out there. And kind of happy to go see it. And I think I'm going to take that opportunity. I may take this gentleman up on his opportunity and go see it. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. This video is kind of off topic, but I hope I got the point across, which is I think that we need to focus on the premise and that the premise is bullshit rather than argue the premise. argue the premise's relevance at all. Argue that that premise shouldn't even exist. Let's not try to argue why repair is actually safe, or why, no, you don't understand, it's not, like repair is safe, and I can show you how it's safe, and we can go over the statistics, because that's never going to fucking change anybody's mind, because we're dealing with people who are fundamentally dishonest in everything that they're saying. Your premise in and of itself is bullshit. And that's what we need to focus on. Anyway, see y'all in another video. That's it for today. As always, hope you learned something. I'm going to get out of here, and maybe I'll take a trip to Montana. We'll see. I'm going to try to make some time in my schedule.